Well, this was an historic year. We've never seen an Ivy League as close as this. Teams that finished in the middle of the pack lost 7-6 in the last match of the tiebreaker. We lost to both the teams that finished first in the third set, last match on. It was impossibly close. From a developmental point of view, it's probably about as good as you could ever hope to have, because every player has to come to every match, every day, knowing that he's got to bring his A game. And for the most part, we did that probably in most of the Ivy matches. I think we had one little valley for us, but that's how competitive the league was. So nerve-wracking for a coach, but very exciting for spectators and players, and very good developmentally. Well, I think John Perlman certainly becoming all Ivy after having a fairly unremarkable fall, really not distinguishing himself, and he just keeps working. And so that was the best example we could have on the team of someone who just says, this is what I got, I'm going to get better every day, and I'm going to be in shape to do it. And John just got better, and he deserved that first team All-Ivy selection. I think with Abba Omodele Lucien and Alistair Felton, they had tough anchor spots playing at 2 and 3 in our lineup. And last year we just weren't strong enough to win almost any matches up at 2 and 3. And this year, one of those two guys won a lot of the time. So both of them had improved a lot and gave us a much better chance to take two of those three top matches, which was important. We were very pleased to see Casey McMaster, a freshman, come in. He started not in the lineup. He moved into 6. He got his spot. He started winning. He was intimidating to people at 6'5". He moved up to 5. He moved up to 4. We tried him at 3. He wasn't ready for that yet, but you know, if you're winning a lot, you got to get knocked down a peg in order to be growing. So we were very proud of his effort there. And Andy Wen and Josh Chan had maybe a couple of places where they didn't perform up to their standard that they expected, but they both compete really, really hard. They're great sportsmen, and we actually think that both of them could become even bigger factors on the team. Well, that was really interesting because Allie and Andy have really sort of been they're guys that get better with practice. So winning 2 regional titles in their respective freshman, sophomore years, and then their sophomore and junior years was really remarkable because the field was so good, and they sort of distinguished themselves against all odds. So there were really great teams in the league, and they sort of outperformed them in the fall. That was hard to do in the spring, and playing up at 1 was just a little bit too much for them. The firepower was strong, and so when we moved them down to 2 and 3, they had much more success. I think John Perlman, who really thinks of himself largely as a singles player, as we started to sort of redefine what his abilities were, he started saying, you know, maybe I could be a doubles player too. And so he kind of got excited, and he's very stingy, and by stingy I mean he just does not give up points easily. So he paired really well with Casey. Casey's a horse. He just loves doubles, and he gets in your face in the right way, and he's not afraid of things. And so the two of them I think they'd won like 6 matches in a row or something. Finally we said, we're just not winning enough matches at 1. So let's see if Casey can move up, play with Abba. They did well for a while. They didn't finish as strongly as they could, but you know, that's sort of the course of the season. You're just not sure how they did, but they had some really spectacular times in there, which gave us a lot of promise, and certainly talked about what Casey can do in the future. We had hoped that Lex would be a big factor in the year, but because his academic commitments and trying to get into law school, it just wasn't in the cards for him to do that. So yes, it was disappointing to have a 2-year #1 player not be able to play, but he's got a marvelous sense of humor that keeps everybody laughing, and the times that he was able to compete for Harvard, he was a real horse out there. He just if he got it in his mind that he wasn't going to give up, he simply wouldn't give up. Abba is one of these guys who was playing up high enough on the team because of his talent that he really had a hard time getting a winning record. And this year we started him down lower, so without the expectations, and he started winning some matches and started to balance how he played emotionally, and so he had some really fine performances along the way. And his match down at Princeton, where he came back from a number of match points down to the Princeton guy and come back and ran away with the third set. And he was in better shape this year. He played with more spirit, didn't get down on himself as much, and treated us to some wonderfully athletic points, really reminiscent of James Blake. That kind of, he can really bring it at certain times.